I'm not used to it. Huh? All right, everyone, we're going to get started here. I'm going to pass the mic on over to Bobby. Bobby's going to be the moderator, and he'll be introducing everybody.
Hello, hello, hello. There's two things I like to do in this life and business. Number one, see if you agree with me. Make money. Yes? Yes, yes. Number two, this is most important. Have fun. That's what I'm going to do tonight with you guys, these guys, and everybody's here tonight. So that being settled, we've got some sponsors, and they've got their table set up in the back. Imperative. These guys have spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort getting people driving across from Miami to come to do this event. It's a great event. So what we want you to do is be sure and go and visit these guys, talk to them, get them in your network, get them in your team that you have going on, and find out who they are. These guys are the real deal. We vet these guys. We break bread with these guys. We know who we're doing business with. So it's important to get a chance to go talk to. We've got Remediation 911. We've got Integrity Claims. We've got Smart Tarp. We've also got Claim Pay. So it's important to meet these guys. They're each going to get a little chance to talk real quick minute about what they do. So we'll start off. Leo, would you like to talk about Smart Tarp?
I think Juan's going to start.
Juan's going to start.
Juan's going to start.
There you go.
How's everybody doing this evening? Probably the most important thing, before I talk to you about Claim Pay, my colleague just reminded me, our focus is to make sure that we get the property owner whole, okay? We want that person to be back to square one. I can come up here and give you all types of terminology about how many years we've been open, how many claims we've processed, but, you know, these property owners are in a contentious spot right now, okay? Some of them are living out of their cars, some of them are living in hotels. So our job is to network with everyone up here and just, like I said, try to get you right back to where you started before. So please, if you have any question, I run the Windows division, which is a division that's kind of been neglected a little bit. I think myself and some of the staff back here, we're trying to get people educated on the fact that, yes, you can get your Windows processed and paid for. So I appreciate your time here. Please, when you're done, come back and we'll have a conversation about it, okay? Thank you.
All right. And next up we have Leo.
Good evening, good evening. Leo Collins. Company name is Smart Tarp. Who we are is a shrink wrap company. You got to have this to record it, don't you? So we're a full-service shrink wrap company, and that's all we do. What is shrink wrap? You've seen the roofs around that have the white covering over the whole roof, and it looks real pretty, and it doesn't leak. That's what we do. That's all we do. We bill only to the insurance company. We've never charged a client a penny. We've never liened a house. We have hold safe and protection in our contracts for our clients. There are a couple things you need to remember as either a business owner or as a homeowner. It's your duty and your responsibility after a storm to protect your house and prevent further damage. Well, that blue tarp that's up there, that's been up there since when? September, October? Is shredded and not doing its job anymore, and your house is probably leaking. So the first thing is it's your responsibility to take care of it. The second thing is you've already paid for this coverage. Why not use it? You're entitled to it. You're basically owed it because it's in your premium. And in your policy, there is verbiage that talks about protecting your home, and that's what we do. So if you've already paid for it, it's not going to cost you anything, and it's going to come with a year guarantee. So Smart Tarp, I got a table in the back. If you're a remediation company or a roofing company, we can work together. I've got a couple different ways I can work with you guys, either as your subcontractor or paying a referral fee. And our business is a lot of fun, and we truly enjoy helping people stay dry.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you so much. All right, next we got Integrity Claims, and then we got Michael to be speaking tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. My name is Michael. I'm with Integrity Claims. I'm a public adjuster. I'm here with my business partner, Chris. He's also a public adjuster. So what is a public adjuster? A public adjuster is an expert in policy language. We are fiduciary to the insured, to the policy owner. We make sure that the insurance companies withhold their contract with you, which is the policy, and make you whole. If you have any questions on what a further public adjuster can do and what we can help you in, we're in the back, and I hope everyone enjoys tonight.
Awesome, awesome. Again, everybody needs to take a chance to go back there and see all the different tables. Anthony's on our panel tonight, and he's got a table back there as well. If you get a chance, Anthony knows what he's talking about. He's the real deal, real deal. All right, before we get started, I was going to give a quick little tidbit. Governor DeSantis started on May 27th through tomorrow is a Florida disaster preparation list. There is a list of products that you can get tax-free. So people that are preparing for the storm, which they should be because there's warm water in the Gulf this year, there's a storm coming. It's not if, it's when. So this is a great opportunity if you need to buy some materials to get prepared for the storm. This is something that is the tail end of it, but at least if you know about it, you need to go get some flashlights, batteries, all the different things they have on this list. You go to Lowe's, Home Depot, some of the big box stores, and they can get this product for you, and you can buy it, be prepared and ready for the storm. So just a little tidbit to get you going for the hurricane season, which is upon us. All right, I brag a lot about our panel events, and it's not just people in the industry, it's the experts in the industry. And when I tell you these people at the top of the top of the top, I'm not a burden you. It's the truth. So we're going to start off with Shane Bailey, and he is an expert in expertness. I like to mess with Shane.
Thank you.
Shane,
Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Shane Bailey with Building Science Authority. We are a forensic structural engineering firm that focuses on, of course, the structural side, mechanical, and environmental. We mobilize for almost every catastrophic event that hits the coastline, from Texas freezings all the way around to Biloxi, Mississippi, all the way down here, and of course up the other coast. We've been doing this about 7 years, and it's been an amazing ride, starting out the way we did to where we are now. What I have found, there's two things I've been asked to speak to you about. The main two things that really kill us, a lot of us panelists want to talk about after the storm, but really where the claim is made is before the storm. If you own a house, if you are in charge of a building, you must document that building. Using pictures, some video is good, but mainly pictures speak 1,000 words. We have a saying in our industry that pictures are free. They cost you nothing. Take as many as you can from every angle you can. The reason why I'm saying this is the first hurricane I ever walked on 2 boots on the ground. We worked it nonstop for 3 months straight. I mean, and that's Monday through Sunday, 16, 18 hours a day. The biggest thing we heard back was their insurance company denied them because they filed a hurricane claim, and the insurance company said, this is not hurricane related. Well, being younger, not knowing, and we just don't know what we don't know, we started learning more about the insurance company, and we have a great insurance person here tonight who will tell you more about this if he wants to expound. But what's interesting is this. If you document your building, they cannot say that. They'll still say it up front, but if they do, then you have the backup to show them, hey, this is not true. Plus, do you know that if you have a problem in your building, I get a lot of people that, well, I have a problem with my home, I have a problem with my building. I don't want the insurance company to know about that. If you document that and the storm makes it greater, it's still a coverable loss. It's a coverable peril in situations. So please don't take it upon yourself. Just document the living daylights out of your building. Document the contents of your house. I found it interesting that when I first moved to Naples, very affluent, $35 million homes on the water, they would hire a company to come through and video and document all their art, all their clothing, and I started looking around the commercial buildings, and $220 million skyscrapers weren't being documented. So that's the first thing we want to talk to you about. Before the storm preparation is going to make it better for you when you file your claim, and it's going to give you more power to fight the insurance company. So we go into this little bit of a spiel if you want to write this down. If you want to know what the insurance company does, You look for a book called Delay, Deny, Defend, White Gloves to Boxing Gloves, I believe is the subtitle. And that is it's an interesting, Joe, I'm sorry, I didn't see you here later. That is a book that tells you exactly how the insurance company switched from being brokers into the corporate world, and the first thing they said is, why are we giving out all this money this quickly? Well, you can hold on to this money. We can delay, deny, defend. And that's the 3 Ds of what this book talks about. They're going to delay. They have algorithms knowing exactly who you are, how long they can push you of delaying, denying, until you're just going to give up and pay for it yourself. And that's what they like. And unfortunately, that is a grossly across most of the insurance companies. You remember, your agent isn't your insurance company. They just handle the policy. Your agent could be a great person, but man, they're governed under the laws that Florida has established, which we're not really happy about. So I'll leave you with that on before the storm, because that's a big thing. Take pictures of your own house. Take your closet. Move the clothes apart. Take that. We had a lady that had mold all over her house. We found it on her clothes too. We were able to get it paid. So, just take pictures of everything. It makes it easier for our remediation guys if we take a ton of pictures. If you take a ton of pictures going into it, and they'll be happy for you. The second thing they would ask me to speak about structurally is windows. Because we're a forensic engineering firm, there are ways we can test windows. And windows have gone by the wayside for many years. But I would like you to think a little bit, let's go down a logic path and think about what windows are. Windows are designed with DP, design pressure, and they're designed to a coefficient of a certain amount of wind speed. Think I'm on E. I'll go. All right. The reason why windows are so interesting is this. I'll let you decide. All right. You there? All right. So let's say let's start with Irma. Everyone remembers Irma. We've been there. We went through it. I'm looking around at people I know had problems during Irma. You went around your home. The worst thing as a homeowner or a building owner can do, or a building manager can do, is to walk around and say, thank God we're okay. You've done no testing. You don't have empirical data. You're not a contractor. You're not a roofer. You've done nothing except looked with your eyes and hoped everything was okay. Well, your windows will vibrate in a hurricane. If you ever listen to NOAA weather, and it says about the millibars going on, the reason why they're so concerned about that talks to you about the pressures. And your inside pressure and outside pressure of your home are two totally different things. And what happens is those are competing forces, and they will shake your window, and sometimes you can visually see it. And when they do that, they expire the gasket. In other words, they push the gasket out. They can either invert it, or they can actually pop it straight out, or they'll just adjust it, a little bump in it. You'll see bumps all on gaskets if you start looking at them. Why that's interesting is this. That window has a coefficient that it went through Irma, and now it's no longer a viable window, whether it shows signs of damage or not. So the 25% rule that's now in play would come in effect. We would say, hey, listen, let's look at your windows and see how bad they are. And so there are ways to get around having the windows paid, been lost. And so windows are a very important thing, because the first thing is your roof, the second thing is your windows, and everyone forgets about windows. No one has them looked at. No one does any. By the way, get some people to look at your house afterwards. Home inspectors are great, to be honest with you. Mold remediation companies, they do this all the time. Roofing companies, we have Renegade here. Get them up on your roof for a check. But if you don't do that and say it's okay and you just kick the can down the road, the easiest thing for the insurance company on the next storm is to say, yeah, that's damage from a previous storm. And if you can't prove it, you lose. So please do those two things. Photograph, think about inspections after the storm, and call us if you need anything or have questions or what have you. All right, thank you for your time.
All right, has anybody got a question they'd like to ask Shane?
How frequently would you want someone to test it? We were actually
So, okay, there's naturally occurring damage on every home, right? But definitely after a major event. If you document it up first, now you're going to be very familiar with your house or building. And then after the event, go take those same pictures. Let the insurance company know exactly how much damage you had all the way around the house. Interior wise, you only need pictures beforehand. I mean, obviously, someone's going to take pictures of the after on the inside if you hire a company to come in and do that. But really, storm, because with the weather tracking now, we can prove the exact amount of wind that's hit your home or building for 2 years, 3 years. Yeah. There's apps out there right now that will track, and we can look that up after the fact and see was this building hit with any 70-mile-an-hour wind in the last year. Go ahead, Barry. I'm sorry.
The other reason that it's really important to have those pictures is after the insurance company insists on you giving them an inventory of what was lost. And you won't have it, but those pictures will give it to you.
And if you're anything like me, you have stuff in your home you don't even realize. And there's things that you will realize later, and I didn't put that into the claim. And so it's really important to take those pictures. Any angle you can see, wall art for sure. Closets are number one let go area. They don't take pictures of their closets. Half the people are embarrassed how much clothes they have, how many clothes they have. So just think about what you do not want to lose and what kind of money you put out. And I think that'll be a good way to do it. But basically, to quickly answer your question, before and after a storm. All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir. There are. There's impedance testing devices. We use infrared. We use theatrical fogging. There are water racks that you can put on that gets a little expensive. Most people don't put those on their homes. Those are more commercial related. Fog testing is really great. We do a lot of that with understanding how a storm affects a window, and then you can back into that with theatrical fog. So I would definitely look into those. There's some a lot of great white papers out there on the subject of theatrical fogging. And what's really good about theatrical, if no one knows what I'm talking about, basically you recreate the storm. So you have outside pressures that are greater than inside. So you take this big fan and you put it on your garage door and you leave your garage door open, right? And then that fan turns on and pulls all the air out of your house. Not in a great deal, but we can do it by Pascal. When you start pulling, people know this as a blower door test a lot of times because we thought we were going to have to do blower door tests on every new home sale. Now that went away. So you're pulling this air out of the house. You're putting a fog stick. It's a non-toxic, non-aggressive stick, and then videoing. Someone's on the inside and they have a video camera. You're watching this fog come in and go right into the window and come right inside. And water will replicate that. It's pretty interesting. And so, cover your backside. I mean, it's the best thing I can tell you. Get people that it will replicate it through the pressure. So, and you can talk more about that. But if you have any questions about it, see me afterwards. This is the one. Yes, sir.
Your engineering firms, who pays your fee normally?
For us, we're mainly commercial. So for us, we just go through the building if they have the funds. If not, then we do just like everyone else. But our rates are covered under scope and discovery. So most policies, I'm hearing they're starting to change. Up to January 1st, I can only talk about. Most policies have this line item in it where scope and discovery, the insurance company needs to indemnify or needs to pay for you to find out what's going on with your building. The reason why is if we take the money, our money, out of your cap, we're not doing anything. We're not indemnifying the building because that money is coming out of the money you're supposed to put into the building. And so after Michael, we learned, out of all the policies that were enacted, in other words, all the claims that were said, 40 of them, they denied them all except for 40%. And then after that, out of the 40%, they paid 60% of those. So if you had $1 million claim, you had 60% coverage that they would pay for, $600,000. Now imagine you have a condominium. You're managing a condominium. Where does that leave you? You're $400,000 short of indemnifying the building. Now you're facing the next hurricane season. I mean, after a while, it becomes waves and waves of just damage upon damage. And I will put this real quick, and don't mean to take up the time, but in Louisiana, the third time we were there, we saw tarps over 3 years old on houses that people were living in. Little babies scooching across the floor and changing the color of the carpet because the carpet is full of mold. So, you know, guys, this is a really, really bad thing. Not a lot of people do it the right way. If you call the right people to begin with, I would urge you to do it. But your best advocate for yourself is taking a picture. You have a camera. You have great cameras on our phones. Start there. It'll help you, help you, help you. Anyone else? All right. Anthony?
All right, now we got Anthony with remediation 911 mold remediation. Anthony is like the white glove of remediation, the top of the top, and he's very articulate. Go ahead, Anthony.
Thanks, Bobby. So I just want to follow up a little bit on what Shane said, because I'm also a state licensed public adjuster that transitioned into remediation 10 years ago. Right before that storm comes, document your home, document it. They're going to be coming in and trying to say that that damage was old and it wasn't from the storm. So you definitely want to do it. All of our phones are time, date stamped, so you're going to be able to show that loss right before that storm hits. You can never take enough pictures. Better to even just do video, but that's really, really the best advice you can get on the front side of before a storm even hits. The other thing with windows is, as a remediation company, we're never going out of business because of leaky windows. And if you really look at on an estimate after a storm, the second largest line item is windows. It's roof and then windows. So check your windows. To answer your question, sir, I do regular maintenance annually on our windows, especially if you got wood frame homes. Yeah, as far as maintenance goes, but 100% pay attention to your windows. And if you have a claim right now, get an engineer like Shane to come in and test them, because you may be sitting on $100,000 worth of damage that's not in your estimate right now with the insurance company. So my name's Anthony Massimino. I'm with Remediation 911. We're a family-owned business. My wife, my son, and myself. We've been in business for 10 years. We are legit storm chasers. We follow storms all over the country. We've been as far west as Texas for the freeze, all the way up to Hurricane Sandy in New York, New Jersey, Carolinas, Louisiana, never going back. Panhandle, it's tough. It's tough. Louisiana still owes us a lot of money. So, yeah, we're legit storm chasers. We're emergency service. We get in. Right after this storm, we did 22 churches in 3 weeks. We dried out and did demo work and tarped 22 churches in 3 weeks. So we did a lot of work. Right now, our focus is switched to residential work. But I've been asked to talk a little bit about categories of water to you, because not a lot of people understand what hurricane water really is. So in the industry of water mitigation, there are categories of water, category 1, 2, and 3. And category 1 would be a clean water supply line that's underneath your sink that bursts. If you dry it quickly enough, it should be fine, and depending on how clean the house is, stay as category 1 water. But once you get into category 2, that could be like a toilet overflow with urine in there, or maybe a dishwasher that leaked after it washed, or a shower pan. And then there's category 3, which is sewage. Hurricane-driven water, according to the IICRC, which is our standard in this industry, and it's not a standard in the nation, it is actually a global standard. If we end up in court, we're referencing to the IICRC S500 for water mitigation. It states that that hurricane wind-driven water is category 3. So what that means is that it's been polluted, it's so dirty and picked up so many pathogens and particulates in it that whatever building material it touches needs to be removed. So after a storm, a lot of times we'll actually come in and we'll dry out houses just because we don't have even the manpower or the ability, a lot of companies, to do it. And we need to mitigate damages, much like one of the gentlemen was talking about. Contractually, we have to stop the bleeding on properties, whether it's tarping it or drying it out so that we don't have a mold bloom in a house. So we want to get in and dry things out as quick as possible after a storm. But anything that's been touched by hurricane-driven rainwater is Category 3. It's equivalent to sewage, and it needs to be removed. And there's not a lot of people that are understand this or know this. And again, what Shane said, you don't know what you don't know. And the insurance companies are not going to notify you that you've got building material that's been so contaminated that it's harmful to humans. So that really is where we are right now in respect to the business that we're doing. Every customer that we're doing right now or we're servicing still has a blue tarp or a tarp on their roof right now. That probably means that they haven't done anything to the interior of the house yet, because you got to stop the bleeding. So a lot of them still are with wet or at least contaminated material in the house that needs to be removed. So Paul just brought me on a project yesterday, and every room in this house has about, I don't know, a football size or two of stains in their room. But we cut from 2 feet. The standard is you cut 2 feet away in every direction from where the last spot of damage was with Category 3 or with mold remediation. So we're touching every room. So what doesn't look like a lot of damage still needs a complete pack out to the house. Everything needs to be packed up and moved out of the house just for us to be able to get in there and work in every room. Sometimes we can shift contents around depending on where it is, but if it's in the center of a room or in the center of the house in a family room, property owners have to get out for us to do that work. So Category 3 water, it's dangerous to humans. It's hurricane water, and that's our service. That's what we do. We are building contractors. We are also HVAC contractors. We primarily hold those licenses just to clean ductwork for the HVAC, because every protocol that we have that's done by a third party, like someone like Shane or another gentleman, Ken, that's up here usually on this panel, has it in there. We do very, very select few customers on billbacks. That's a tough part of the business. I usually let Paul handle all that work for me. So, but that's our story for Remediation 911. Thank you guys for listening and taking in some of this information.
Has anybody got a quick question for Anthony?
Yes, sir. It's a ServPro guy, by the way. Here we go. It's horrific. I mean, aside from the fact that just claims aren't even getting paid, they're really risking people's health at issues. And this is a highly populated retirement community. So you're dealing with a ton of elderly people that are here. And you know as well as I do, young infants, elderly people, and immunosuppressed people are the most affected by this. And that's what we're dealing with a lot here is elderly, and it's horrific. And I don't. It's money. I mean, it's all about the money. I mean, and even our favorite darling governor that everybody loves has been doing a great job for this state. He changed the laws in a big way and really affected this. But one thing you're going to learn, and hopefully the attorneys will on the panel will tell you, is that this is an important storm to make sure that you get everything done with your house, because the laws have changed so significantly that it's going to be very difficult moving forward with claims to really make yourself whole after them. And I'm sure they're going to touch on that.
Real quick, with a raise of hands of everybody, do you guys, who understands what Category 3 water is? That's good, because when we go and do these, most of the time, people do not know what Category 3 water is. And the reason that I bring that up is Hurricane Ian is the last storm. You guys have 2 years to file a claim and that usually gives you enough time to do if you find out you got mold or you have something going on. But the laws have changed. We get a hurricane this year, you have 1 year to file a claim. And then you have another 6 months to do a supplement. So if you don't do it in time, you guys are going to be in trouble. So one thing that we have this up here and why I have Anthony up here is we want everybody out here to educate people. Because one of the biggest things I see is, and I've brought Anthony to the house before a couple times, where the person's like, oh, we don't have no mold, I'm not cleaning it. Well, your whole house was flooded. So with your whole house being flooded, as Anthony, as everybody knows with Category 3, from a hurricane, that's Category 3 water. So you could have bacteria, E. coli, mold, you could have all kinds of different things in there. So, you know, the reason I asked that is just, you know, that's a big message that I would get out to your neighbors, your friends, your family, and really talk to them and let them know if they had water staining, they need to get a hold of Anthony or they need to get a hold of a remediation company to come over and take care of that. And that's why we have these partners up here on this panel, so they can educate and they can take care of it. And that's the one thing that, you know, we have on here is experts. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And I just want to also bring up one last point before I hand the mic away here is whenever you have a property that is either sustained water damage, that's hurricane water Category 3, or mold, it is imperative that you get a environmental report, mold report done. If you don't, you are really risking any coverage there, and they're looking to find reasons not to. An environmental report has to be done by a third party. I can, although I am an assessor and I can do reports, our company's not built to do them. We perform the work, but you need to have that third party come in and test this and document it and write up a protocol. And their protocol is my outline of the work that I perform. And that really insulates you as a customer and myself as a contractor, so that the insurance company's saying, you're trying to inflate scope. You're trying to just find work. No, I'm just following the outline of this report through this third party. So it's very, very important with that. Yes, sir.
Is the insurance carrier not agreeing with you? They're disputing the definition of Cat 3, or are they just not in good faith, saying we're just not going to take
That's
care
a
of it?
really good question. I mean, they like to push it back on Category 3 instead 2 instead of 3, which could call for a different form of remediation, maybe just cleaning. But I have yet to have a carrier push back on Category 3 with this storm. They're all treating it as Category 3. I mean, they push back on how much they want to pay and what they're going to do and everything else, but as far as arguing that this is Category 3, we have not had one claim where we've dealt with an insurance carrier where they said that yet.
Okay, and then, but even in that, with that knowledge, you're still saying get an expert third party to document.
100%, because as soon as you don't, then they're going to say it. They're going to say it at that point. Test, 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 photos, photos, photos.
How many people know somebody that lost all their soffits and got water in their home? There's not a lot, but just so you guys are aware, and Anthony schooled me on this, is when that water came in the house after the hurricane through your soffits, you have Category 3 water in your home. Or those people have your neighbors, your friends, and now that water's sitting in your insulation, and it's going to grow. Bacteria is going to grow. So, Anthony, tell them what happens and how long that could take and why you want to file a claim and get yourself a remediation company in there.
Well, I mean, mold can grow in 24 hours, and you could have a full black colony of mold on something in 72 hours. It's more about just you getting up into your attic and having pathogens that have found their way into your attic, and you're going to get your Christmas gear out for Christmas or whatever it is, and you're exposed to that. So Yeah, it's a tough remediation process to do attic restoration, and most of the time it's a lot easier just to pull all the ceilings down. But think about in an average home what that means to just get all the ceilings down so we can get the insulation out. So, but that's happened to every house, and I would tell you that right now, 80% of the homes, they're not even touching the attic restoration part of this right now, unless they've got a real professional that's going in. Yeah,
What was the question?
the question is what are some of the symptoms that you'll find with people? Everybody's different, and the IICRC sets up something called no threshold limit when you have pathogens or you have mold. Everybody handles it differently. I might be able to handle 1,000,000 times a particular mold spore's levels and not affect me at all, where Shane could have 1% of what I can handle as far as exposure, and he can get very sick from it. And then there might be another mold that the coin's completely flipped. He can handle as much of that mold, and that one makes me sick. So there's no threshold limit for it. It's got to go. That's just the way it goes. They anticipate that somebody's going to come into that environment that's going to be affected by it, and that's really why they set forth that no threshold limit.
All right, we're going to keep the panel moving along. Go to our next panelist. We have claim pay funding, which is having trouble with my insurance. How do I get the money? What do I do? So we're going to introduce Rodrigo. What a fun name, Rodrigo, right? So Rodrigo, take it away. Tell us about claim pay and funding.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank everyone for assisting tonight. And of course, it is an absolute pleasure for Claim Pay to be sitting and sharing this table tonight with this amazing group of professionals, where we do not only understand the business, but we share a common goal, which is helping the community, helping the homeowners after a natural disaster to go back to their lives as soon as possible. At Claim Pay, we've been funding contractors in Florida for almost 8 years, and we truly understand the sense of urgency for property owners to go back to their lives as soon as possible. So our mission at Claim Pay is to help contractors, homeowners, shrink the time period of an insurance company to pay for the property to get restored accordingly. We truly encourage property owners, providers to let their properly claim handlers, either their PAs, their attorneys, let them handle the claims, take the stress out of the equation when it comes to fix your property and just go back to your normal lives as they were before a natural disaster. We've been in business for 8 years. Our network of almost 200 contractors are ready to help and assist homeowners as long as there's a policy in place. We'll be there to help shrink that time period to get the property restored. So at Claim Pay, we believe in assisting homeowners with the best professionals in the industry, like we have in this table. We truly believe in honesty, integrity, and doing the work right. And by assisting homeowners, we assist the community to restore their lives. Our programs not only come with cash flow solutions to providers, but it also comes with a set of expertise, of experts. We have flood experts that make sure that whenever a provider, a contractor needs any assistance with any flood issue that they may have, we're there to help them out. We also have a set of experts in windows. We also have a set of experts in estimates. We truly believe that the estimates must be written addressing all the damages that are in the properties in order to make sure that all the damages are being addressed so the property can be properly restored. So again, we're here to assist homeowners, general contractors, mitigation companies throughout Florida. We also provide services in Louisiana, Texas, Colorado, and very soon in California. And our onboarding process is very, very simple. It's just a matter of a 30-minute phone call with any of our account executive, which gonna make sure that we're gonna give you all the information that you guys need in order to just make the process clear, make the process as smooth as possible. We understand, we have seen the stress, the pain in property owners' eyes, and we truly understand the sense of urgency. So working again with this companies, with this people here is just an amazing thing, because we know that at the end, the homeowner, the property owners are gonna get the best service that they can get. And we're happy to assist them through the long process, and of course, make sure that the job is done right, make sure that the job is done quickly enough, and we'll just wait for the insurance company to pay us directly. And that's the huge benefit of working with us. We will assist providers with the cash flow that they need in order to complete a job sooner than later. So again, thank you for your time. We're here with our entire team that will be happy to go over any questions, any details that you guys may have. Any questions?
How do you, it sounds like you're kind of like a public adjuster and a financing arm, or am I misunderstanding it?
We are a cash flow solution company that comes with a set of expertise that assist not only homeowners, but providers. Let's say that our team comes with any questions that they may have with policies or flood or anything related to any sort of a disaster. We're here to just guide them, to just make sure that everything runs smoothly. But at the end, we're a cash flow solution that is going to provide the contractor the ability to build sooner, instead of waiting for the insurance company to pay for them to start the job.
So ClaimPay is very cutting edge, and what I love about ClaimPay is, yes, they provide you money. That's the big gig, right? But they go beyond that. They're cutting edge. Like I said, a bank gives you money, they're done. ClaimPay goes in and they look at the claim, they look at the process, they look at all the different constructions, the Xactimate, the whole package, and they help the contractor assist and go through that process. A lot of people are not, schooled in Xactimate, the writing of the insurance policy, et cetera, et cetera. So they come in and they help you with all that type of stuff. So they're cutting edge, and they're changing the industry. There's no doubt about it. Is there any other questions for Rodrigo?
One question I got for Rodrigo. Explain to everybody, when you have a contractor that you help fund, how much money do you find on a claim that from your writers in-house that help those companies get extra monies that they were missing?
Oh, well, that's a very good question. So at the time of reviewing an estimate, sometimes we have been able to increase between 20-30% the estimates, just to make sure that at the time of funding that estimate, the contractor has the ability to address all the damages and repair everything that is being addressed in that estimate. So it gives the contractor the ability to fix, build back, and get everything back in place, and just wait at the end for the insurance company to pay, and they will get the final disbursement.
Okay, so we're going to keep on going down the panel. We'll have more.
Thank you very much.
We'll have more questions. If you have, certainly go talk to Claim Pay. Their team is extremely knowledgeable. They're the right people to talk to. All right, now we're going to come on down the next. I'm kind of partial to this next panelist. He's my business partner and associate. This gentleman has extensive knowledge in just the whole facet of storms and the problems and the issues going to repair the home back to where it's supposed to be, as well as the insurance portion of it. How does that work? How do we fix it? And it's an ever-changing problem that we go through because we're changing the laws all the time. That's okay. We stay on top of it. So, Paul Clark, go ahead and give us a little talk.
Thank you, Bobby. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for being here, showing up, and thank you to all our panel members. These are all gentlemen that we work with, we trust with our clients, and we would trust with our family. One thing in this business is, with storms, is you hear all the disasters of using contractors and the wrong people. Every storm, the news talks about it. Don't use this person, check this person, or somebody gave a deposit and they took off. So everybody on this panel, I could give money to, and they'd have the job done and not have to worry about them taking the money. So that's a big thing. That's why we have these panels. That's why we have these experts to educate the community. We do this. I tell everybody this all the time. We're not here for the money. We're here to help. The money will come. We'll help take care of everybody, and that's what this is about. So I just wanted to say that first and foremost. My background, I have 25 years experience in the business of storming, hurricanes, hailstorms, tornadoes, windstorms, ice damming. I've worked 10 different states. I've been an insurance adjuster, contractor, and public adjuster in my past. And I've also worked for the distribution companies. So I've worked for one of the top three largest roofing distributors in the country. So I have a big grasp on the knowledge of storms, hurricanes. And so when Hurricane Irma hit back in 2016, we started putting these teams together. And you always want, put your team together and work with some good people that you can trust. Now we're at Hurricane Ian, so we have everybody again. We're using the same people that we know we can trust and to take care of the clients. And that is a big thing. It's a big peace of mind. The one thing about Renegade Roofing for us is we're a roofing and general contractor. So we know the insurance business. We have a roofing state license for roofing and general contracting in the state of Florida. With that being said, when we do a work on a commercial or a residential property, we do all the work. The homeowner, the business owner does not have to go get 10 estimates, go get 10 different contractors. We will do it all for you. And if we need to, we have the subs, which are on this panel and other subs that we have, and we'll put those people together for you. When a hurricane happens, people don't have time to call 10 different companies. Your residential people don't know 10 different people usually. Your insurance companies are going to tell you to go get as many estimates as you can. And the reason they tell you that is because they want to use the lowest estimate. You have right to use the contractor that you want, but they also have to price and reason. And we use Xactimate, which is the insurance company standard. And so with that being said, we're in line with what the insurance companies pay. We try to make it easy and take everything out of it by guaranteeing to do the work for what the insurance company pays. And how we do that, if they don't pay enough, we do what's called a supplement. And we talk with the insurance companies to make sure that's paid for. If we have problems and we can't get it paid for, then that's when you'd use Integrity Claims as your public adjuster, or you'd use Ligman and Ligman as your attorney, and we would make sure between our team that we get everything paid for. One thing you want to make sure in the new business of insurance these days is this is a new model. We've learned a lot from COVID and Irma. Our company alone had 5 or 10 roofs that were still lingering and didn't get done till last year due to COVID and due to the, being finally settled with the attorneys and the insurance companies. And the problem with that is the homeowners didn't have enough money, or the businesses and condo associations did not have enough money, because what happened is all the prices went up after 5 years. So an important thing that you want to do, and that I like to educate everybody, is you want to team up with an attorney and a contractor or a public adjuster that understands the pricing. You want to have an attorney with a client and that has a contractor that can be, as you know, that when they're going to settle this claim, that they can say, hey, let's call our contractor that you signed up with, and did we get enough money for this claim to settle before we settle? One thing you don't want, and the attorney doesn't want this to happen to you, is he gets the settlement and now you don't have enough money to do your claim because it took 9 months to settle, and that's not the attorney's fault. That's just the laws and how long it takes to get these settled a lot of times. But you want to make sure that you have that team. So when the settlements come, you talk to the property owner, they actually make the settlement. They're the one that's going to make the decision on that. But wouldn't you want to have an educated, way of making that decision? So what's the best way of having that? You have attorney, you have a public adjuster, you have a contractor. And with us, what we do is we make it easy because we advise if there's enough money, and then we can do all the work. And we make sure there's enough money for when the settlement is, that you don't have to go get estimates or worry about not having enough money. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Another thing I wanted to talk about today is hurricane preparation. Shane had talked a little bit about it. Anthony talked a little bit about it, and Roger will, can tell you the same thing because I'm sure he tells his clients this every day. Is hurricane season's coming up, and we're in a strange situation because we just had Hurricane Ian. So if you had Hurricane Ian damage, and you have all your repairs done, what you should do is go get a camera with a time stamped and date stamped and take pictures of all your repairs that have been done. Also, write down everything on the exterior. Go around, take pictures. Go into your home. If you had interior damage, show timestamp that the interior damage was fixed. Take pictures of your house inside, because if we get another hurricane and you have time-stamped pictures and you have showing that your contents in your house, what you have, that'll speed up the process if we get another hurricane. So those are some of the things that you guys want to do just to make sure that you're protecting yourself. So when the insurance, if you have another claim, you have that already. Roger, I'm sure, would tell you that'll take, a lot of the burden off the insurance company and yourself because you have the proof right there, and it makes it easier. Other things you want to do is, like Bobby said, you want to make sure if we, find out that we have a hurricane coming to Florida, go and get some of your, things that you need, water, food that you're going to last for about 2 weeks. Because typically when we get these hurricanes, I've been through, I think, about 8 hurricanes. And all 8 hurricanes, typically it's about 2 weeks before the power comes back on. Not always, not everywhere. If you're by a hospital, by the fire department, an ambulance, or the police station, those are the ones that are going to go up first. But the majority of the power takes about 2 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks. So I would advise everybody, if we have a hurricane coming, if it's coming or not, but it's coming close, look at Hurricane Ian. Everyone said it was going to Tampa. 24 hours, not even 12 hours, Fort Myers gets blasted. Naples, 10 feet of water, largest flood ever. And those people were not prepared for it. And unfortunately, look how many deaths there were. So what I would tell you, when a hurricane is coming, it's coming anywhere within 500 miles of where you live, go prepare and be ready. That's one of the big preparations I would tell you guys. Lastly, one of the things I want to talk about is, we have Renegade Roofing Construction. We've also, just rolled out Storm Consultants. That's another company that we have. And the reason that we started this company was to help insurance companies, insurance agents, realtors, home watch, commercial condo associations, HOAs, attorneys. So what we do is we'll go and scope damages for the attorneys. We'll go and come and take the pictures and, document your stuff for you guys. But most importantly, if you hire us, we can consult you, and then we can also put you with the contractors if you don't want us to do the work, but we can point you in the right direction, get you the correct engineer, the correct remediation company. But if you want to use us, then, you know, that's even better because then we're going to do the work for you. But the big thing is when storms come, people need to be educated. And a big thing is property managers, home watch, HOAs. You have multiple homeowners that you have to deal with and a lot of stuff going on. One of the services that Storm Consultants does is that we'll take on that burden for you guys and navigate you through the insurance process to help you get the best outcome as you can. We can put you with the attorney. We can put you with the public adjuster. We can put you with the remediation company. The biggest thing that you want to do when this happens and the storm happens, again, document. Take your pictures. Write down your stuff. Have your contents list. The biggest thing you're going to want to do is call your insurance agent. Call your insurance company and file that claim. As soon as you're done doing that, call Storm Consultants, call a contractor that can help you. One of the biggest complaints I've heard in this storm, and I see a lot, is I called the roofing company, and they came and did my roof, but they don't fix trusses. They don't fix fascia. They don't do my gutters and soffits. They just want to do their roof and move on. Well, do you know probably the 3 biggest items that where the biggest profits come in? Roofing, remediation, windows. If you're a homeowner and you're giving one of those 3 and you don't have a partner with the rest, a lot of times nobody wants to help you because they're not going to make the profit. When they go and do these small soffit jobs and fascia jobs, you know, Renegade, we do them because we care about the community and we're trying to help people. But at the end of the day, it's not a big ticket item, and I hear it all the time. Oh, well, I let this person do my roof, but they didn't want to do anything else. So that's a good thing right there. I tell people, stop. If they don't want to do the rest of your work or help you navigate that, that's probably not a great partner. So also, you know, you have the home inspectors. They are great tools to use. If you need somebody to come out after, they'll charge you a fee and they'll come out and do an inspection for you and help you tell you what you need. So that's another third party that will give you an honest opinion. Because you'll get a lot of contractors, unfortunately, out there that, you know, some will do the right thing, but you have the turn and burn guys that are just here to try to get you to make a claim and do the roof and move on. Anthony talks about bag and trash guys in the remediation business. They come, and I've seen videos. Anthony had a church, and this church told Anthony that he was doing his stuff wrong. Anthony had a video and said, wow, that remediation company doesn't even have a respirator on. And they're using, you know, trash with mold and everything. So, again, that's another reason why I have the partners up here I do. You know, Ligman and Ligman does insurance claims. They know the business. Roger's been doing insurance as an agent for years. He takes care of. One thing when you want to do with your insurance agents is an insurance agent that cares is not the guy that's giving you the cheapest price. That's not what you want. You want the guy that's going to give you the guidance and the correct stuff. Law and ordinance coverage, ALE coverage, correct mold coverage, correct things that you need. Now, if you tell him that it doesn't matter to you and that's the price, then that's, so be it. But that's not what you should be doing, especially in the state of Florida when we get hurricane damage. Rodrigo, perfect example, perfect company, Claim Pay, I love them to death. They've helped me a lot, and they've helped our company and the other people on the panel. They're here to help. They work with the attorneys. They work with the contractors. They're here to fund. They're here to fund the job so people can get the money to do your work, so you're not waiting. You're not getting more mold in your house. And they're here to take care of you. So that's, great thing to have in the community, another partner there. Anthony Massimino, Remediation 911. A perfect example is if you don't have money, you go to Claim Pay. Claim Pay will help fund that restoration job so you don't end up with more damage. Anthony and I have teamed up on a lot of jobs, and he's educated me a lot in the restoration business. If you have damage in your ceiling from Category 3 water, your walls, your floors, you need to get with a reputable remediation company, have a third party come and do an environmental test, do the protocol, and have it done properly. And pay attention to when people are doing your job. Make sure they have PPE. They're doing the correct things. And then finally, Shane Shane, does building inspections all the time. In a lot of commercial buildings, I've known Shane, for years. Shane will come and do an inspection on a property for you to make sure you're okay, and he'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we have other partners that aren't even here today. Ken Siders, he's an environmental test gentleman that does a lot of testing. He's very known in the industry. We have other partners that aren't here today either. But everybody we have is top notch. Everybody here is going to guide you down the correct path to get the work done and to do it correctly. One thing I'm going to say is, skilled labor isn't cheap, and cheap labor isn't skilled. Remember that. You get what you pay for in life. And you can get, the biggest thing I've seen in a storm is, oh, this guy can do my roof for $650 a square on a shingle roof. Okay, you want to know what I've just heard about that? One company that was doing that just got shut down for insurance fraud. They didn't pay their insurance bills. Now you know how they got $650 a square. You've got other companies that are bringing material from up north and lying to the inspectors because they have so many inspections that they're going through. But if they ever get tested or we get another hurricane, those shingles are going to blow off. So again, if somebody's telling you your roof is $650 a square, you better be careful what you're paying for. You want guys that are reputable, taking care of the jobs for you and making sure. So again, I want to thank everybody that's here, and if you ever need any help, anybody's got any questions, you can always reach out to us and ask the questions. Thank you, everyone.
To piggyback on what Paul just said, I was just telling Rodrigo just earlier, he was visiting, you can go buy a tire for $60, right? Or you can go buy that Michelin for $260. Now, what do you feel safe sending your wife in your car going from here to California in? It's a black, it's round, it's a tire, right? It's not the same tire. A roof is not a roof, is not a roof. You got to get the right roof, the right construction done, the right remediation, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why when you're doing your due diligence, find the right companies to work with. All right, so we've been beating up on the insurance claims. So now we got Roger with Flagler Insurance Group. A good friend of mine. I see him once a week, buy him lunch all the time. He likes to spend my money, but it's all right. Roger's going to talk about the insurance and some of the things that go on with that.
Thank you to Renegade for what you put on tonight. I believe in Renegade. They're a top-notch organization. I actually sent 2 referrals to them today. So how many in here, I'd like to see a show of hands, does anybody in here like paying income taxes? That would be a negative, Ghost Rider. So I don't know another industry that's really hated right now anymore, or another institution that's hated anymore than the insurance business, basically. But what it boils down to is if you look at what's going on in our markets, 99.9% of the complaints are with the companies and or adjusters. It's really not with the agents, okay? If you have the right agent, and most of them in Southwest Florida are reputable agents. And if you have the right agent, they're going to write you the right policy, and they're going to be honest. My dad always said, and Paul said that, you're going to get what you pay for, okay? It's not about the price. It's about the protection. And I've been in this business 20-plus years. I have 2 children in Kentucky that are in the business. I'm with the Flagler Group. I'm in charge of new business development. I do networking, I do realtor seminars, and I do meetings such as this. But I want to talk a little bit about some key points that you as consumers need to look at. And the first point I want to make is you need to take a long, hard look at buying flood insurance, okay? Just look at Fort Lauderdale, what happened recently. Look at Fort Myers Beach, what happened with Hurricane Ian. We are in a flood zone area, and what we say in our industry is 80% or more now of Florida is in a flood zone. So don't think just because Ian didn't get you or Irma didn't get you. Look at Lauderdale. They had a flash flood. You need to look at buying flood insurance. You can lock your rate in right now, and you won't be susceptible to buying a new policy when your lender throws you in to a flood zone, or FEMA does. Because we're getting clients all the time right now that they get a letter from their lender, says, congratulations, FEMA's thrown you into a flood zone. And we just saw this happen across from North Fort Myers. Moody River just got thrown into a flood zone, and there was not one single house in Moody River that got water in it during Irma. Okay? So guess what? All of those properties, and there are a lot of homes in Moody River, if you're familiar with that development, all of those homes are in AE zone. So congratulations, their premium for a flood policy right now. If they didn't have it before, I'm seeing premiums in there from $1,800 to $2,500. Okay? So there's just a lot of compaction and a lot of things that are going on in our industry. There's a lot of companies that have gone upside down. There's probably 15 companies that have pulled out of Florida. There's a lot of rumors right now that some big companies that left California and some other areas, they're considering leaving Florida. I don't really know what the answer is to this, but I can just tell you it's not about the price. So an example would be a Citizens policy right now. We're seeing a lot of people, and we'll price anybody right now that comes to us in new business. We run it through our independent grid with Flagler, and we're an independent broker, which means that we write through anybody that's going to have an appetite for your home. We key in the age of it, we key in the 4-point, we key in the wind mitt, depending on your circumstance of your age of your home, and then it tells us who has an appetite for your home. So a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want to pay. I had one this week. It said, I don't want to pay $4,900. I want the $2,500 Citizens policy. So guess what? It's like my dad said and what Paul said, you get what you pay for. Everybody needs to be aware that Citizens will not cover your pool cage, all right? You cannot buy that endorsement. Second thing is that you only have a $100,000 premises liability. They will not write any more than that. Third thing is that people don't realize that Citizens is an assessable pool. It's owned by the Florida State Insurance Division. They regulate it, but it is an assessable product. What that means is that if we have another bad storm year, Citizens can go in and assess any of their existing policyholders up to 40% additional premium on top of what you're paying now. So just be mindful. It's not always about the price. And so Citizens is #1 in the state of Florida right now for complaints with Hurricane Irma. All right? So just be mindful of that fact that you know, you're going to get what you pay for. Some other key points I want to touch on, which some of the other people have touched on too, but you need an inventory list. I've been in the business a long time. I've only had one client through the years that had photos and an inventory of what they had destroyed. In this day and time, you can take pictures on your iPhone, document that. Think of all the people, thousands of people that have lost property from Irma, and they cannot remember. When that property's gone, floated down the street, or it's destroyed, it's wet, it's damaged, you know, you cannot remember. I've been on scenes where the fire truck was still there, and you know what? My first thing is I help them, I console them, I get them a place to stay. Second thing is if they have a close neighbor or a friend, I give them a tablet, and I'll say, here, follow your friend around. You need to start making an inventory while it's still fresh in their mind. So don't get caught without an inventory. There's no excuse now with the iCloud and photos and iPhone. Second thing is, like some of the other panelists mentioned, have a 4-point inspection done. It costs you a couple of $100, but a 4-point gives you documentation of your roof, your HVAC, your plumbing, your electrical. It gives you a script that you can show to your company. Look, my roof was in perfect shape. Here's the 4-point. It was just a few months old, okay? All right, the other things I want to touch on, make sure that you have loss assessment coverage. A world of people right now are calling because they have a loss assessment coming up from their HOA. All right, Florida law mandates that you have at least $2,000 coverage on your HOA, your condo, your HO6 policy for a loss assessment. That just means that your association, as many of you know, can assess you money. If there's not enough money in the bucket to pay the bills from the IRMA, then you're going to get a raise, and it's not a good raise. You're going to have to stroke a check for your loss assessment. Make sure you have loss assessment. You can buy anywhere from $2,000 up to $50,000 on that. Okay, some companies do sell higher limits. It's relatively inexpensive. Make sure your policy has loss assessment cover. I'm sorry, law and ordinance coverage. Very important point right there. If Renegade has to go in, they have to do extra work, extra straps, toenails, anything that has to be upgraded in your home due to a storm. For example, you need an upgrade on your electrical, your power box, whatever it might be, the law and ordinance covers give you extra monies that you can spend on your home to upgrade it to current standards, okay? Any questions right now so far? Yes, sir.
I'd like to just also say that the agents are not to blame here for this. These guys are most of them are doing really great jobs. They have nothing to do with the claims. And if you find an agent like that's at your house on a fire or helping you through a claim, they're a really great agent because most of them don't do anything. One other thing that I think probably is really true is that we should encourage everybody to do policy review with you every year.
Exactly.
Because policies are being stripped left and right. There's coverages that are just coming out. I mean, I have Edison myself on my house. It caps me at $10,000 on a water loss. 99.9% of losses to real property are derivatives of water. So I got $10,000 worth of coverage. But we talked about the appetite, and my only other option in my neighborhood was Citizens. So believe it or not, Edison's is actually better for me. So, but agents are not to blame for what's going on in the insurance industry right now. I want to make that point.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I had hesitation coming. I see Bobby every week. I buy him lunch. But anyway, I said, I'll be glad to come, but I don't want an indoor barbecue. And first of all, and most of all, I don't want to be barbecued. But, you know, agents are in a precarious situation. It's not an easy industry right now. You know, I did not stay here during the storm. I was the last plane out of Punta Gorda to Lexington before Irma hit. I left on Monday. Guess what? There was 50 people behind me that did not get on that flight because they were stuck on a traffic jam and an accident on 75. So, but, you know, I live downtown Fort Myers. I live in the community. I live in a high-rise, but I still wasn't going to stay there, okay? So, anyway, it is a precarious situation. A question over here? Yes. Yeah. So what I was referring to is if you buy property and they have an existing flood policy, you can assume that policy, okay? What that does is that locks your rate into an 18% increase. Some of these other companies and some of the other products out there are going up in excess of that, okay? So, I'm sorry? Correct, correct. So what I tell clients is if you can assume an existing flood policy, you know, you're assuming that rate that they had, which could be thousands of dollars cheaper than what a new policy would be. That's what I was referring to as far as a lock-in. You're locking in that grandfathered rate, whereas if you have to go out and buy a new rate, it's thousands of dollars more. FEMA, under their 2.0 release last year, they can raise your rate 18% per year. Now, not all of them are going up. Not all of them go up 18%. Like you said, they do have a defined rate out there where they want everybody's rate to be. And let's face it, people on the coast and in Florida, on canals, on waterfront properties, you've paid substantially less, most people have, than what the actual risk factor is, okay? Substantially less, because there's people that are not in high-risk flood zones, and they are paying different premiums than you are, but if much less, but they're supplementing because they're maybe in an X zone, which has a very, very low risk of flooding. So let's talk about X zones just a minute. An X flood zone means that it's a preferred zone, that the likelihood of flooding is very small. So we've seen X zone rates that have gone up under the 2.0. Some of them have gone from $700 to $1,800, okay? So there's just a lot of things. FEMA and the government prints more money. Obviously, FEMA is underfunded, considering there's disasters now on almost every month somewhere in the United States, all right? So the optimum rate is, who knows what that is? FEMA's going to keep changing that. FEMA's going to keep raising their rates. Nothing in this world goes down, basically, all right? Anything else? Yes, sir.
Are wind mitigations still good for 5 years?
Yes, they are. Absolutely. They are still good for 5 years. You know, there's just so much going on in our industry. We're seeing companies that have written business for years, and now they're tightening their market. They can't buy reinsurance. All the contracts for reinsurance are up for renewal here in the next 30 to 45 days. Some companies do not have enough cash in the bank to buy the reinsurance that they need through Lloyd's of London, General Re, and the other companies. The ones that do have enough cash in the bank, it's not affordable. So you're going to see more companies going out of business. You're going to see a continuation and shift in the market. There's the 50% rule, which somebody asked me about recently. There's such strange things going on in our market. I had a client this week that had a claim from Irma across the river in Cape Coral. It was really severe damage. I've talked to this client probably 24 times. I helped them immediately when something happened. Their roof was torn off. It was twisted, the trusses and everything. They stayed with one of their friends for the last 4 months. So the company that has her insured just now, last week, in the last few days, called her and said, look, we're going to total your house. We're going to pay a total loss. She said, I don't want to get a total loss check for my home because I don't want to fall under the 50% rule. Does everybody understand that? The 50%? If 50, okay. All right. So if your home is assessed at $50,000 or whatever it might be, if your payment on your insurance is more than 50% of what your taxable value is, considering your homestead, considering that, then FEMA says you have two options: tear it down or elevate it to the new standards, okay? So that's the 50% rule. You're familiar with that. Yeah, in flood zones, correct. Yeah, in flood zones, right. But this lady was in a flood zone, and she said, I'm not taking the money. I've already spent my cash. I don't want to total my home. So now we're pushing back on that, saying, you know, she doesn't want to total it, okay? So there's just a lot of scenarios right now. The last thing I'll close with, we write a lot of new business. We get a lot of referrals from realtor partners, good friends like Bobby and Paul, and everybody says, well, is that a good company? Well, today that's a good company. We don't know, because there's a lot of companies right now that are on the brink, and there's a lot of companies you're going to see that are going to exit our market in the next 60 days.
All right, good deal. You know, we're going to have a few minutes after this is all over. We'll have open networking. So if you have more specific questions, go zero in on this panels, all these panelists that you have here, and be able to talk to them afterwards.
So I got a hot topic question for Roger, and Roger's already heard this because Bobby's asked him, but I want for the community to know out there, what insurance companies are insuring people with solar panels on their roofs?
No.
It's my understanding that there's 10 things you can be dropped for with your home insurance policy, and solar is not one of them.
So underwriting changes on a daily basis with these companies. We might load in information, and they might say, today they might say, yeah, we'll take that. And so if it's more than 30 days out, we're getting ready to bind a policy, that rule may change, the rate may change. We don't know. It all changes. But there are only about a half a dozen companies out of a dozen that are still in the free market, a half a dozen that write homes with solar panels. Not all companies will touch them. Not all companies. It's not to say that they're going to cancel you, but they're going to non-renew you, or they're going to jack your rate so high that you're not going to want to stay there. Right. They cannot drop you, but we call that jacking when they don't want to risk, they're going to jack the rate. And, you know, we're seeing rates right now, even, I had a home recently, and I insure all over the state of Florida, and I just had one in the Panhandle, in the Destin area, that the premium went from $6,000 to $9,000, okay? That it was on a home that was about 20 years old. Roof was less than 10 years old. And so the only way we could get that down, they had a standard 2% wind deductible, and she said, I'll take a higher deductible. So it was a $400,000 home. So her deductible, she chose a 5% wind deductible. So her deductible went essentially from $8,000 to $20,000, okay? So they will, if companies like the risk, they will take it. But, you know, and I tell clients every day, if your rate did not go up 40%, you better pay it, because there's just some of them are almost doubling, going up 60%. It's just it's a tough time right now in the business. Yes, sir.
So with that solar, so you said that they won't renew you. They can't drop you because what he said.
Yeah, but they can jack your rate up.
Jack your rate up. So if let's say you already have insurance in place and you put solar on.
Yeah, I've got a client right now that called me, and in the last week, and they said we need to reshop. They were not with me except on their commercial insurance. So they said, we want to move our home insurance to you. And I said, what's going on? And she said, well, my company, I notified them I had solar panels, and they're non-renewing me.
So they're not just taking away the roof coverage, they're just non-renewing.
Correct.
Because they could adjust the policy and say, because you have solar panels, we're not going to cover your roof.
They're not doing that. In Florida, you're not excluding roofs like that. You're not allowed to do that.
You mentioned 5 companies out of the 12 companies that insure. My understanding is they're all California-based companies. Because California's really into solar. Those insurance companies have been dealing with solar panels forever.
Not necessarily. The companies that I'm aware of are not California-based companies. No, sir.
All right, in the interest of time, we're going to keep on moving down the panel here. Excellent information, no doubt about it. Thanks a lot, Roger. Appreciate your knowledge and consideration.
Nobody likes taxes.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank
And
you,
you said you
Roger.
was buying, right? All right. So getting to the end of our panel, we have the esteemed Christopher Ligman of the Ligman and Ligman Group. Go ahead and take it away, Chris.
Yeah, I think Roger's being a little tough on himself because not too many people like attorneys either. So
Really?
until you need them. So unfortunately, in the state that we are sitting right now, we are needing attorneys. My name is Chris Ligman from Ligman and Ligman. I've been practicing 16 years in strictly property insurance law. My grandfather started the law firm in 1958. My father was an attorney as well, my uncle, cousin. So we're a family firm. And we strictly dealt with first-party cases. Some of the things that I want to talk about, at least one of the panelists had mentioned some of the recent changes. One of the biggest changes that we've had is that the insurance reform is one of the biggest that we've had in the past year. That's happened in Florida throughout the history. Essentially what they did is they took away attorney's fees. So before, there's a statute 627.428, which gave you a right to attorney's fees if you got a judgment or decree in your favor against an insurance company. Well, through the insurance reform, they took that away. It's completely gone, under the guise that there were frivolous lawsuits being filed. But there's statute 57.105, which states that the insurance company could sanction you if you filed a frivolous lawsuit. So there weren't frivolous lawsuits to the extent that they were making people think they were. So this all happened just recently this year. So what does that mean for you? So does that mean there's going to be less lawsuits filed? No, because we know there's Hurricane Ian, and people are sitting here probably are still not made whole. I know plenty of people that haven't been made whole, so they're going to have to file a lawsuit. Well, that means that you're going to have to give up 30% of your claim to an attorney, or 20%, or what agreement you could find or shop around. So before, you would be able to get your attorney's fees paid for, and now you're giving up 30%. It's not affecting the attorneys because they're still going to get paid through your claim. So who does it affect? You, the homeowner. To go through all of the insurance reform, I mean, they've done it across the board, not just with homeowners insurance. They've done it with personal injury as well. I'm not a personal injury attorney, so I'm not really going to comment on that. But you lost a lot of rights there through medical benefits and comparative negligence and things like that. Some other changes they've made were to the AOBs, which these guys are very well familiar with, which, again, trickles down to the homeowner. A lot of this stuff happened overnight, and basically people didn't even realize that it happened. So if it's something you wanted to change, you'd have to write your state representatives. Unfortunately, they were probably going to turn the blind eye to you too. Other than that, like I mentioned, I've been doing this for 16 years. If you have any questions that you have about, you can ask me on the side if it's something you don't want everybody to hear, but if it's something in general, I'll be happy to answer it now. Yes, they've done all sorts of different things with multipliers and punitive damages and when you can file CRNs but the funny thing about that is that they said, oh, now the insurance company has 60 days to respond to you. So it's much better for you because instead of 90 days, they have to respond in 60 days. But we took away your attorney's fees and all the punitive damages and things that kept insurance companies in line to begin with.
Chris, can you explain to everybody, because I don't think a lot of people know, but there's new laws going in effect July 1st, which is 3 weeks from now. Can you explain what those new laws are?
Well, that's part of the new law that will be a couple of the good things in it. I mean, the law is huge, so I can't explain the entire thing, but a couple of good things that are in that law for you and the public adjusters that are sitting in the back is that now the insurance company has to give you their estimate. Before they would hold on to that and they would say, no, this is part of our claim file and claim it's privileged. So what would happen is they would send out an adjuster, and it's very well known, and people have been stating it for years, that insurance companies would get an estimate from a field adjuster hired on their behalf to go out. He would adjust the claim, and the insurance company would get it back to their desk and completely alter it, just change it. Hurricane Sandy, yeah, so, and Irma as well. Well, now the insurance companies with a new law are going to have to tell you who that adjuster is, and they're going to tell you that, yes, they're supposed to advise you that within 7 days of your request, we have to give it to you, and then once you make that request, they're going to have to turn it over to you within 7 days. So they have to give it to you now, which is a really good thing. That should at least stop them from altering estimates. That's one of the major changes.
I got a question for you. So it's my understanding that incurred costs is a little bit easier to collect from insurance companies than waiting for them to negotiate a fee with you. So maybe you could just touch on that a little bit. And I think that's really where claim pays comes in in a big way for anybody that's sitting out there right now and talking, because as a public adjuster, it's my understanding, and just additional living expense, okay? As soon as you sign a lease, you've incurred that cost. Even if you haven't handed over any money yet, you're obligated to that lease. And the insurance companies are funding incurred costs a lot easier as long as it's within reason. And all of us up here use and utilize software called Xactimate, which is the pricing for the insurance company. So we're falling in line with the insurance company's pricing. But for anybody that's out there trying to understand this, and hopefully maybe legal can touch on this, is it easier to collect on incurred costs than it is waiting for negotiations to go through with an insurance company?
So the short answer is yes. No, but yeah, having incurred costs is easier to collect on, and the reason is, and we're saying incurred in that, and as you touched on with ALE, it's not necessarily that you've actually paid it out of pocket, because from insurance point of view, additional living expenses, ALE, it's a coverage. So and it's only usually paid unless you have an incurred cost. Sometimes they'll forward it, but usually it's if it's incurred. What you're talking about is if they've actually done the work, right? Correct? Completely redone the work? Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that it makes it a lot easier, because it takes out the guesswork. Because when you're talking about programs like Xactimate, you can put in all kinds of different things, different pricing materials, different scopes. You can have different things you could remove this light switch or clean this light switch. There's all different things you can add in there, where an insurance company would argue with you against those Xactimates against their own, because it's really on the person that's actually inputting the information on how detailed it can be. The price of, say, the same tile is going to be the same in there, but the measurements may be different. Maybe the overhead and profit is in there. But when it's actually incurred or paid, the guesswork is out, and then it's much easier for the insurance company to look at and say, hey, look, this is what we owe.
Yeah. One thing I'll point out, most people didn't realize until Hurricane Irma that the FEMA flood insurance policies do not include, and you cannot purchase ALE, additional living expenses. So the ALE is only going to come into play if your roof is blown off and or if you have extensive leaks in your home and you're not able to live there. There's a world of people that got flooded out from the storm surge, and they thought they had ALE, but their agent did not explain that FEMA or any of those policies do not cover additional living expenses. The ALE only comes into play on your regular home insurance policy. Not if you have no power. I mean, that's.
Yeah, if it's under, obviously in flood you don't. So if you're left because of flood reasons, but yeah, if it's any other reason like level 3 black water or even noisy machines, whatever reason is to power surges of things of that nature, lightning strikes, then you're okay. But there's a lot of people that have just flood damage right now, and they when you got to redo those homes completely, they're out of their home for 6 months, a year, and I know people that are still out. They're
That's why you see the campers in the yards.
Yeah, you see a lot of RVs in the yards, Any other questions? All right.
Well, let's give these guys a hand. The information you get up here is good. This is not an easy thing to do, is come up here and sit and explain who you are and what you are and how you do it. It's a little bit stressful. So these guys are pouring out of their hearts and giving their souls to you guys. Again, we're going to mention our groups in the back. We've got Remediation 911, Integrity Public Adjusters. We got Smart Tarp, and then we also got Claim Pay. Please, please, please go visit these guys. Paul, what you got?
Hello? There we go. So real quick, I wanted to touch base. I forgot real quick is, do you guys know how long a blue tarp lasts? Just a regular FEMA blue tarp. Do you know what the time frame is? FEMA's. Yes. No, a blue tarp is only good for 30 days. Smart tarp. So smart tarp, just so you guys are aware, there's two different tarping systems. You've got your blue tarps. On the Army Corps of Engineer and FEMA's website, it tells you it's only good for 30 days. And as a contractor, we have a right to charge every 30 days for an inspection on a blue tarp. With shrink wrap, with smart tarp, reason that we partner with these guys is a lot of people don't know this, but with shrink wrap, you get a 1-year warranty up to 50-mile-per-hour winds for that, that particular roof. When it comes to tile roofings, it's very hard to blue tarp those roofs. Shrink wrap is definitely the way to go on tile. So I wanted to let everybody know, that's why a big reason we, partner with Smart Tarp is in your insurance company, if you have an active leak, your insurance company should pay for a shrink wrap. Just wanted to put that out there. Anybody know that? Leo can talk a little. If you guys ever have questions about shrink wrap, he can go in depth with you guys. So he's a perfect person to talk to after about that. But I wanted to put that out there for you guys. Just something that a lot of people don't know because shrink wrap is just, coming around since, how long, Leo, since Irma?
Yeah, basically, yes.
So I wanted to educate everybody a little bit about that. And lastly, again, I want to thank everybody that came tonight. The panel's great. Everybody on here, get their cards. If you have any questions, everybody will answer questions for you. These are perfect partners for you guys to utilize and use because, again, it's not where we get hit, it's when we get hit.
All right, thank you, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Let's do some open networking and shake some hands and get some cards.